Hi Year 10, this is Lesson 6 of your Speaking Listening unit. Today's learning objective is what is rhetoric and how can I use it in my speech? Please go ahead and write that in your English book along with today's date. If you're doing your work in a Word document, then obviously put today's date and the learning objective at the top of your page, and then we can get straight on with today's work. So before we start looking at rhetoric and how you use it in your speech, I want to talk you through roughly where we are with the process of writing your speaking and listening assessments. So last lesson, in lesson 5, you started planning it and you were writing a whole bunch of things in your table that you wanted to say. Today we're going to look at some of the ways that you can write that up. So we're looking at rhetoric and persuasive devices so that you can start using those as you write your speech up. In your next lesson, in lesson 7, you're going to write your first draft. Now remember, your speech needs to be 5 minutes long. That's going to be about 650 to 700 words that you will say out loud. So it may be that as you're working through the lesson today, you are thinking that you might need to add more to your plan. If you struggle to write the 3 introductions that we look at today because you haven't got enough to say, because you've not got the ideas in your head, then you are going to need to take some extra time to go and add more to your speech plan. That might be more research, go and find some more information. It might be facts, figures, statistics. You might want to find expert quotes. You might want to go and find real life anecdotes, real life examples of what's happened connected to your topic. Rather than creating your own ones, you might want to look at your topic and how it's presented in the news or in current affairs. So if, when we come to lesson 7, you are struggling to write 650 words, then you're going to need to find more information. Remember, the requirement is a 5-minute presentation. 5 minutes. It can't be less than that. And then 5 minutes of question and answers, so 10 minutes in total. So you're going to have a lot, and I really mean a lot, to say about your topic, and that might require you to do some extra research to make sure that you've got plenty of information. Okay, let's have a look at what I want you to do today. First up, task 1 is looking at rhetoric, and I've got a short YouTube video here that I want you to watch, and you're just going to answer 3 questions. So the first question, so you can write task 1, what is rhetoric, as your subheading. Question 1 is what is rhetoric, and I want you to watch the video and write the definition down that's in the video. I've given you the timestamp there, so when you're watching it, you know you can pause it and write the answer. Question 2 asks you what impact do rhetorical devices have on speeches. So there are a number of things that rhetorical devices do to a speech, a number of positives. What are they? Again, pause the video, write the answers down. And then question 3 is asking you to look at the 8 rhetorical devices that are then gone through in the rest of this video. So you need to watch, after you've watched the first bit that explains what rhetoric is, from about 1 minute to about 5.5 minutes, it takes you through these 8 devices. And you can either edit them on the table if you're using the Word document, or write them up in your English book. For each one of these, you're going to write the meaning of it, or the definition that's given in the video, and an example from the video. And the reason I want you to make sure that you do it and you make sure you use the ones from the video are, some of these devices are devices that we also see in English literature in kind of normal descriptive or narrative writing. When it's used in normal story writing, it's not persuasive. Okay, it's just normal writing. When you're using them in your speech, you need to craft these techniques so that they are persuasive, and that's what this video shows you. So some of them you'll recognize, some of them might be new. You're going to look at rhetorical questions, analogy, simile, metaphor. So those are 2 obviously that we know really well from our descriptive writing, similes and metaphors. This then is how do you use them so that you're writing them in a way that's persuasive. Parallelism, repetition, allusion, and anecdote. So those are the 8. Write them in your English book, write the meaning or definition that's given in the video, then also includes an example from the video. So you're going to need to stop this video, go ahead and watch the YouTube video, get the link from your email or from the Word document in OneDrive, and complete these tasks before you come and get on with task 2 with me. Okay, so as I've told you, you're going to write 3 different openings or introductions to your speech today. That's 3 different hooks. It's going to take you a little while, so this is going to take the rest of our lesson time together, because you're going to write 3 and you're aiming for them all to be about 100 to 150 words long. So you're looking at 3 different ways that you can hook your reader into your topic and your side of the topic. So this is this idea of capturing their interest from the very beginning of the speech, so they are engaged and listening to you. So the 3 different openings that we're going to look at are using rhetorical questions, using shocking facts, and using an anecdote. So these are some of the things that you've just been looking at when you've been looking at rhetorical devices. Now we're going to practice them in our own writing. So first up, a list of rhetorical questions to introduce your topic, then your opinion. So the sort of structure that we're aiming for here is 3 rhetorical questions in a row. And you actually watched one of the example videos that we showed you earlier in this unit. The student did that. He asked the audience 3 different rhetorical questions in a row. Once you've asked those 3 rhetorical questions, you guess what the audience's answer is going to be, and then you tell them your opinion. And we're going to try and add some credibility, some ethos to that opinion by using evidence. So I've given you a model answer here, and then you're going to pause the video and use my model and the little structure at the top of the screen to write your own 100-word opening using a list of rhetorical questions plus the answer and your opinion. So here's my example. Have you ever been beaten to within an inch of your life? So that's the first question. Have you ever been attacked for no reason other than being hungry and wanting affection? So that's the second one. Have you ever been kicked out to live on the streets with no help and no hope? So that's the list of 3 rhetorical questions. And then you do what you imagine the answer is. I imagine your answer is no. Then you don't know what it's like to be an abandoned cat or dog in Britain today. And so this then is how you've hooked them in. You've kind of asked all of these questions. You've then shown who this kind of shocking reality is the truth for. And then we're going to add credibility. Then we're going to give the opinion. So the RSPCA estimates that 100 pets are abandoned in the UK every day. So that evidence, that fact, adds credibility. I'm not just spouting from my own opinion. I know about this topic. In my opinion, this is wrong, and the owner should be prosecuted and serve time in jail. You might think this is a little extreme, but I don't. And that's that version of the introduction to the speech. You have clearly introduced that your speech is going to be either about animal cruelty or maybe about rescue animals. It's 106 words long. It's very clearly structured, so it's got those 3 rhetorical questions, and you can see I've got the structure for you there at the top. Then it's got, I imagine your answer is, then your opinion, then you add some credibility with some evidence. So I want you to pause the video now. You're going to use this model to write a 100-word opening for your speech using this structure. Okay? You have to complete this before you can move on and try the next one. All right, so pause the video, do this now. Okay, the second introduction type that we're going to look at is a shocking fact, then an explanation of that shocking fact, then your opinion. And you can see that this is the same topic, but just a different form of introduction. So, every day in the UK, approximately 50 unwanted animals are put down. These former pets were abandoned by their owners. We've all heard the phrase, a dog isn't just for Christmas, but it seems that some of the British public aren't getting the message. So this is the shocking fact. 50 unwanted animals are put down every day. And now we're into the explanation. You see, not only are some of these unloved and unwanted tragically killed, but thousands of others are left in animal rescue centres, waiting, possibly for years, to find a new home. So that's the explanation. Then you give your opinion. In my opinion, all pet owners in the UK should have to pass a test before they can take home an animal. This test will check their suitability, and if it costs a bit of money, it might put off owners who have no real commitment. And that's the thing that this speech is going to be arguing. So this one is slightly longer, it's 122 words, but you can see how that structure works quite nicely. A shocking fact, followed by an explanation of that fact, followed by your opinion, your main argument. Okay, so you're going to pause the video now. You're going to write me a 100 word plus opening using this structure: shocking fact, an explanation, and then your opinion. Once you've done that, you'll have 2 different introductions. You're going to move on and do the third one. Okay, so number 3, and this is the last thing that you're doing in today's lesson, and then we're going to come back and look at these later on in another lesson. So this is an example or an anecdote, and as you know from the video that you watched, an anecdote is a little story that backs up or supports the point that you're making. So it can begin with words like imagine this or imagine the scene, which is what I've used here. But if you want it to be personal to you, then you can start your anecdote with a kind of a sentence that explains about you. So I was 14 years old when I found a dead body in our back garden. So it's up to you how you start this anecdote. All right, here's the example. Imagine the scene. An underfed puppy with large brown eyes gazes at you through the bars of its too small cage. There are thousands of rescue dogs needing new homes in the UK. This Saturday, one of them came home with me. Each year, over nearly 500,000 animals are abandoned by their owners in the UK. Some of them have been abused, starved, or beaten. Others have been neglected or forgotten, or, like Zizi, left in the back garden to fend for herself while her owners went on a 5-week holiday. Tackling animal cruelty is important because animals cannot speak for themselves. Humans who hurt animals are bad people. So that, as you can see, is 100 words long. It's just over 110 words long. This then, it's a story about an animal or an experience. And so it may be easier for you to write this because you can add details, you can add description, but it's also then got a fact in there about the thousands of animals that need in rescue homes, and how nearly 500,000 animals are abandoned each year. So it's taking this idea of creating an example to introduce your subject. So you should have written 3 different introductions now. And you're going to keep those because we're going to work on them and build them into your first draft next lesson.